Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video we're going to look at classes, and this is closely related to object-oriented programming. So basically classes differ from structures, but we're not going to look at structures, we're only going to look at classes, right? Let me this right here is just a basic explanation of what classes are. You can find this on the MQL5 reference. So I won't read this much, but what I'm going to do is get to the explanation of what a class is and how we can use the class, right? So in this case, this is the basic skeleton of a class. So for you to initialize it or for you to make it a class, you have to type class. As you can see, it's highlighted in blue. It will show that this is a class right here. So let me just do it again. So class, you see, just to show that this is a class that we're trying to make here, and we make it in the space here. We don't write it inside the body of the on init, on d init, or even the on tick function. We don't use any of those. The class we write on the space itself, right? So this is how we create the class, and then here you put the name of the class, and then between these curly braces, that's the body of the class. And of course, after the last curly brace, the ending curly brace, so what we do is we add the semicolon. So that finalizes the class. That's how we create a class. Now inside the class, there is the member variables, which are the members of the classes. Then we can also have a function or methods in the class, and we can also have a constructor in the class, right? So another thing is that it's going to be private, so you probably would have to make the variable public if you want it to be accessible in other methods like the on init function, on dinit, or even the on tick. So that's basically the skeleton of a class. So right now down here I've created a class already. This is just an example, right? So here, this whole thing here is the class I created, and as you can see, I named my class books. It's basically a class of books. You know, a book can have a name, it can have a size. When I say size, I'm referring to either A4, A3, you know, that type of thing. And then it can also have the year it was published and also an author. So these are the basic information we can get from a book. So basically here we can have a class of books. We can have 10 books, and then each book will have different names, different sizes, different years they were published, and different authors. So that's what classes are basically for, right? So as you can see here, I've used commenting, so it also makes it a bit more easier for you guys to understand. Through the commenting, you guys can also read at your own time while watching the video. You know, you can pause and read, right? So like I said, if you remember, I said earlier on, you can make it public. So this is how you make it public. We write public with a colon there. So this makes it public, so we can access the information here. We can access it inside any of these other functions, the on init, the on d init, or even the on tick. You see, that's why we have to make it public. So after that, we have to now, these are basically our variables, right? The members of the class. But yeah, they're called member variables, but yeah, we can just put them as variables. So we can say a book has a name, a book can also have a size, and a book can have the year it was published, and it can also have an author, right? So those are just the basic information that a book can have. That's what I used here. So now for us to be able to use this class, we have to as you can see, I typed here, I used the on init function. So now, as you can see here, the first comment in it says that we create an instance of the class. So remember, our class is called books. For us to access information from there, we have to create an instance of that class. Now, instances of a class are known as objects. So we have to create an object that we can use to get information from get and give information from the class. And then basically for us to create an instance of the class or create an object, we have to type down the class. As you can see, if you remember correctly, the name of our class is books. So we type down the name of the class, which is books, and then we give the object a name. So the name I've given it in this case is book 1. Then we equate it to new. You type new, always new. Then you type the class name again and open and close brackets with a semicolon. So now we've just given it we've just given it an object name, and now we can use this object to access and give information to the class called books. So we're going to use this object here to get and give information to the class called books. Now, what does that mean? So as you can see, I have book1.author, book1.name, book1.size, and book1.year published. So I'm basically giving this object here. So remember, with the object, we can access information from the class, and the member variables here we have are name, size, year published, and author, and we don't have any information given to them here. So I'm using book 1 as an object to give what? Book 1, the author name Sydney, the name of the book, which is Learn with Mr. Sid, the size of the book, which is A4, and the year published, which is 2023. So that's basically how it works. So let me just type that out here so you can see. So type in the object name, case sensitive. So type in the object name dot, it'll give you access to all the things that are inside the class. As you can see, we have author, name, size, and year published. Let's say we want to give it a new year published. I'll type that and equate it to 2024. That's it. That's how we give information to the object book 1. And this object book 1, it takes all these variables. So we are basically giving book 1 information based on all the other variables that are inside the class, because this book 1 is the first book, and the first book will have an author called Sydney, a name of the book, which is Learn with Mr. Sid, the size of the book, and it will also have a year it was published, which is 2024. So that's how objects work, right? And now, since we've given the object information, we can also now take or get information from that same object. So here we've given the object information, right? We've given the object information. Now we can also now print out the information we've given to the object, right? So as you can see, I'm using an alert to print out the book name. It should give us, as you can see now, to also get the information from the object, we can say book 1, which is the name of the object, dot name. It will give us the name of the book, right? And then to get the author, I said here, you can see it's just for it to look more proper. To get the author, we want book 1 dot author. To get the size, book 1 dot size. And to get the year published, we type book 1 dot year published. And this here should give us book name colon should give us Learn with Mr. Sid. Author colon should give us author, which is Sydney Chukwu. And then size colon should give us what? Size colon and A4. And this one should give us what? 2024. So if we run this code, we should get exactly that. So let me just run this F5. Let me just comment these out before we get some problems. Just comment this out and run this code. So if I run this F5, okay, as you can see, book name, it says what? Learn with Mr. Sid. And then author, Sydney Chukwu, size A4, year published is 2004, right? So we can even go further and add another attribute or another member variable. So let's say we want to add page numbers. So we're going to use an integer. So page numbers, or number of pages, num of pages. So I've added a new member variable. Now I am going to also now give this object book 1. So let's see, number of pages is there, right? Equals to, let's say this has 300 pages. 300 pages, right? And then I've given it information of how many pages this book one has, right? Now I can also print that out. I'll just copy and paste this to make it a bit more easier for myself. Copy and paste. Instead of making it year published, we're going to say number of pages. And that will be, instead of book one dot year published, it's going to be book one dot number of pages. There we go. So now it should print out everything, including the number of pages, which is 300. So if we run that again, let me just, okay, let's run that again. F5. There we go. And guys, remember it printed all these before from here. It printed from here to here at first. So since we ran it again, we're going to look from here going downwards. So book name is Learn with Mr. Sid. Author is Sydney Chukwu, and size is A4. Year published 2024, and number of pages is 300. You see. So that's how we do this, guys. We can actually have more than one object. We can even initialize another object. We can create another object by, again, remember it's class name, which is books, and then we give, now this one is book 2 equals to new name of the class, which is books, open and close brackets, and then we put our semicolon. So now we have another object name, or another object, which is called book 2, and we can give book 2 now. We can also give book 2 information and print out the informations of book 2. So you can have more than one objects in a class, because there's a lot of books. We can have thousands of books, you know. So this is how the classes work, guys. I hope it makes sense. So yes, I'll see you guys in the next video.